Many thought he would never wrestle again, but after a year and a half absence, Randy Orton returned to Monday Night Raw last night and even competed in the main event. And after 10 years of most of the wrestling community saying this dude will never be back in WWE, CM Punk stepped foot inside of a WWE Monday Night Raw ring. Salute. They say never in the pro wrestling industry. That was never more true than last night. This is the Raw review for 11/27/23, a show that was more anticipated by many than the actual post-WrestleMania Raw. Now, while the focus in the headline is on CM Punk last night, and we'll get to it, more seeds planted with him and Rollins. Rollins taking another direct shot at CM Punk, and CM Punk, while not mentioning Sethington by name, Punk's whole second half of his promo was tailor-made directly to Sethington Rollins. But it was the Randy Orton segment that was the most interesting to BC. Piqued my curiosity as to what we now need to see, right? I'm sure most of you feel the same way. There was something that happened in that Randy Orton segment, and the crowd started chanting very loudly for something, and BC could not help but think, what if? Now we gotta do it. I'll explain exactly what I'm talking. If you saw the show, you know what I'm talking about more than likely. If you didn't, hold tight. That was actually the first segment of the night, so you won't have to wait long for BC's thoughts and exactly what I'm talking about. That's the teaser for this upload. That's the teaser for this Raw review. My cold open is sweet and simple. Just a few seconds. It was a major storyline that developed last night. R-Truth is trying to become the fifth member, or wants to be the fifth member, for Team Judgment Day at their Survivor Series. Think about that, please. The Survivor Series, which happened on Saturday. Last night, R-Truth is asking to be the fifth member for Judgment. That's comedy gold. I'm not always a fan of this WWE comedy stuff, just watching Tozawa do his dance with a title, or a bag of Ruffles potato chips, or some Slim Jims, or chasing each other around for a 24/7 title. That is no more significant than the plastic title you probably have somewhere around your house. In fact, the Target championships that you find in aisle 5 are probably more prestigious. That's why it was thrown into the trash. I think that was by Nikki Cross. But I'm not always a fan of this comedy. But I forget sometimes just how funny, how hilarious R-Truth is. I literally had to have an LOL moment because I laughed out loud when I heard R-Truth asking Judgment Day if he could be a part of their team for Survivor Series, which happened 48. R-Truth is gold. I really hope before his career is done, I truly hope that he has one solid run at something. I'm not saying a heavyweight title, relax. Something meaningful, though. Because he actually is a good wrestler, too. I think he still is. When he's not eating jelly rolls backstage. Again, if you saw the show, you know what I'm talking about. Guys, I just made a fresh coffee for this review. Let me just get a couple of swigs. I'm going to take you to an electrical intro signature. It'll just take about 5 seconds. Come right on back. We'll talk Monday Night Raw for Monday, November 27th, 2023. This was a highly anticipated show. Did it deliver? What happened? There was a title match on this show. The entire first hour commercial free, and the bulk of it was tag team turmoil. There's a lot to go over. This is the place to do it. Now is the time to do it. And BC is just the right person to rock this out. But I need my unit, man. I need you guys smashing those ups, rocking out with me, because it's early in the morning. So let's do this like a team effort. From the red team to my channel members, my gold unit, everybody raise them up, salute. Let's rock this amplified style. My unit, like I said, it is early in the morning. There's a lot of things to tackle outside of pro wrestling, but there was no way that you guys were not going to get a review for this Monday Night Raw, one of the most anticipated Raws in a very long time. It felt even more special than a post-WrestleMania Raw, for many reasons, obviously. Randy Orton back after a year and a half. A lot of individuals thinking he might not even be able to return. At one point, Orton thinking such. And then after 10 years, CM Punk steps foot inside of a Monday Night Raw ring. It's post-Survivor Series, so there's a lot to digest, a lot to look forward to, a lot that piqued your interest, at least for BC, and I know many of you guys. And we put up a live stream preview for Raw last night, and a big thanks and salute to the thousands that have caught that, either live or in the 12 hours post. But we talked about how WWE will probably go the simplistic route and just put a live mic in CM Punk's hands. And you know what? That may cut it. That may do the trick, because that's every word will be hung on by the audience. BC's a little different creatively. I would, out of the gates, strap the rocket into the stratosphere of creativity. Right out of the gates, I would have a major angle. But we did talk last night about WWE kind of going the simplistic route. He's not going to get ran over by a monster truck in the parking lot. There's not going to be some big angle in the middle of the ring where he gets struck down by a lightning bolt, gets caught up in a tornado and swept away, or dragged down in an earthquake. Probably not going to happen last night. Probably just going to be CM Punk with a microphone. And sure enough, exactly what we talked about is what happened. But I did say that if Sethington, who we knew was also going to be on the show, if they just trade some words, even in a roundabout way, that's enough to keep our interest for Sethington and Punk, because that is such a good storyline. The one dude that is just not accepting that BS from CM Punk. He does not want him in the locker room, no matter who says what, how they say it, and who it's coming from. It could be a good buddy, it doesn't matter. Sethington is not on board. The story writes itself, especially what Sethington called Punk last night. And what Punk said, basically, even though he didn't mention him by name, what he said directly back to Sethington to end the night. So the seeds that kept being planted last night, it keeps you interested. So you're telling me there's a chance Sethington and Punkington, it will happen in the future. We'll get to exactly what they said. That's all coming up. But it was such a highly anticipated Monday Night Raw for all of those reasons. But it was Randy Orton's segment at the top of the show that has BC needing to see this happen in the future. And before I get to that real quick, because you guys are going to be watching for the rating later, I hope you're not looking for a number that's too outrageous, right? I'm already hearing 2 million plus, and that's possible. I've seen 400,000 to 500,000 viewers tune into a show when they didn't the week previous. It's not seen often to get Monday Night Raw pulls between a 1.3 and a 1.5. The last couple months, that's their new average, 1.3 to 1.5. So to ask 500,000 viewers, 500,000 viewers to tune in, that doesn't happen often. But I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm just saying let's temper those expectations. In the form of realism, a 1.7 is their bare minimum. I don't know how much you can tout success at a 1.7, but that is bringing a couple 100,000 viewers into your product. And if they can score a 1.8, nearly 300,000 viewers back, I think that's successful. When you're pulling 1.3 to 1.5 for months and all of a sudden you pop a 1.8, pretty damn successful. If you can sniff a 1.9, dude, more power to you. And it shows you that Punk in WWE is just a bigger draw than Punk anywhere else. And again, if it's a 1.7, it's not a failure, but not maybe enough of a success. especially when the first hour was commercial free. So I just wanted to talk ratings for a brief moment because I know that's going to be a big talking point going forward. But a lot of people think that 500,000 viewers are just going to come out of nowhere. That's not exactly how this works. Could happen. We'll see if this many people were interested. But, I mean, if you look at 1718 as a failure, that's not the case. When you follow numbers, it's very hard to just pull hundreds of thousands of viewers out of nowhere or to make hundreds of thousands of viewers come back all at once. You know, if you start captivating people's interest with CM Punk and Orton storylines, that'll gradually get all of those viewers back. But it starts with the stories. It starts with people caring or hearing about what's going on with said individual. So I hope that makes sense, guys. So BC is not looking for some outrageous number. But yes, I look for a huge uptick than 1-4-1-5. And again, it was a Chicago Bears versus Minnesota Viking game. It was actually a good game. It was a close game. I don't know about good. These aren't really great teams. But it was a close game. So maybe that swayed some viewers or at least, forced them to pick up the remote and flip back and forth. But big thank you for allowing BC to speak a couple minutes on the ratings. That's my thoughts on it. I'm not expecting a catastrophic number, but they absolutely have to pull in bare minimum 1-7, 1-8. You can start talking success. All right, Randy Orton starts this show. Says he's got receipts for all of the bloodline, and he means all. And he looks right into camera B, too, by the way, which is the camera inside the ring. And you got to think he's talking... I wonder who he's talking about more. Is it Roman Reigns, right? Because he looks right when he says, and I mean all of the bloodline. Is he talking Roman Reigns? Or is he still saying Jey Uso as well? Or is that just for everybody? Everybody in the bloodline... Y'all gonna get that receipt. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Rhea Ripley hits the ring. Crowd starts flipping out in an RKO chant. Could you imagine? At first, I wasn't really thinking it. But Rhea Ripley was playing it up so good. I mean, you would think we are seeing the next feud for Orton and Rhea. Guys, the way they were face-to-face, the way it was such a hostile moment, the promo was so good that you thought we were getting Rhea Ripley versus Randy Orton at the next pay-per-view. It's funny, but last several uploads, we've been talking big about the babyface overload, right? How there's so many faces in WWE. I'm not even going to name them all. We've been doing that the last several uploads. I don't want to sound like a broken record. Many times I do, because we have to go over these subjects a lot, but... There's so many baby faces, and there's not enough top heels. There's a lot of heels, just not main event caliber, or at least they're not booked that way yet. Whereas the faces, there's so many that have already been in main events, and there's just not enough top-level heels. In Judgment Day alone, Finn Balor would be the only one right now. McDonuts, Dominik Mysterio, and even Damian Priest, they're just not main event right now. You can book them as such, hopefully we care. But... Imperium, Gunther is mid-card, right? IC title, he's having matches with Miz, so he's not booked as such yet either. So there really is nobody. Roman sits at home and he got Solo, I guess. So the funny part here is watching Rhea, I was thinking, well, there's not enough top-level main event heels in WWE. Rhea Ripley is filling out every category. She's checking off every box. She's face-to-face with Orton, and I'm like, sold. I'm like, let's just do Rhea versus Randy. Obviously, we're having fun with it, but she was coming across like just a top main event heel last night across from Randy. It was just hilarious. It was ironic. But when the crowd started chanting RKO, they wanted to see Randy RKO Rhea Ripley. Now, back in the day, Attitude Era-ish, maybe even Ruthless Aggression. I think we were seeing a little bit more of it tail end in that era. But you would have seen things like that. They would absolutely take out the ladies. It's pro wrestling. Relax, right? It's entertainment, so they can sell it under the guise of such. But you would have seen an RKO on Rhea Ripley. So when they were chanting that, guys, it got so loud of a chant, And Randy, you could see him put his head down a little like, yep, now that's got to happen eventually. They didn't have it planned in last night's show. It was not scripted in there, but Randy knows, and I think Rhea instantly knew, oh shit, I'm getting an RKO soon, aren't I? At any moment in the next few weeks, I'm eating some RKOs. Guys, it's something we have to see now. Everybody is going to have to put their big boy pants on. Relax. It's entertainment. I know it's 2023, and some people will see that and go, oh my God, how can they do that? Relax. I gotta tell a quick story real quick, man, on the same subject. Different form of entertainment. I'm at Universal Studios. This was several months ago, and I'm watching the Bourne Identity, Bourne Supremacy, whatever that Bourne series is with Matt Damon. I've never seen the movies, but they have a great show at Universal Studios. And it's this full, show. It's almost like Broadway, but combat. And they have all these, 4D experiences, and they use these graphics that make you feel like you're in the scenes. It's incredible. And there's this one scene where the guy playing Bourne is fighting this girl, right? It's a good combat sequence. And there's this girl next to me, this woman, who literally turns to the person she's with, and I can hear her. She goes, huge gasp. I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe they're doing this. And I'm like, will you relax? First of all, the girl's like double fisted. She's got like a fucking gun and a grenade or something. I don't even know. While Bourne just has his fist. So it's a pretty even fight. She throws a grenade and everybody goes up. So relax. But it's entertainment. You're watching a show. It's just wild to me. So in 2023, I don't know if they'll actually go ahead and do it. But for BC, I say they gotta do it, because this is a massive part of a story. If you're gonna do Randy Orton involved with anything with the bloodline, if you're gonna have Rhea Ripley and Randy in the future in a face-to-face promo, which is pretty damn good as we saw last night, I'm down with it. I'm cool with it. But at some point, we gotta get an RKO on Rhea. Man, that would be electric. Anyway, man, that's got BC's interest peaked for the future. I hope they can do it, man. I really hope they get the sign off from everybody. It's 2023. You'd have to get USA Network to be on board with it. You'd have to have Endeavor's okay and approval. Most likely, Ari will have to sign off on it. It sucks, man, but that'll be a huge moment. Anyway, Orton says, Mommy, while I've been away, I've been keeping up with the product, and all I'm hearing and seeing is Mommy this and Mommy that. Well, Rhea, Daddy's home. It was a great line because the delivery was so flawless, just like his wrestling. Randy Orton is just top notch. The only obstacle for Randy Orton, the reason he didn't reach ultimate success like Cena and many others like him, the reason he didn't reach ultra success is Randy Orton. He was his own worst enemy a lot of times throughout his career, and he was his own obstacle. If not for those obstacles and his own kind of self getting in his own way, Randy Orton would just be one of the top stars you would be talking about in the industry's history. I truly believe that. He's that good, man. His ring skills are just flawless. Everything he does just comes so natural. It was like he came out the womb to be a pro wrestler. And on the microphone, he has gotten better throughout the years. And he's just believable, obviously. He has a great aura and presence. I mean, this guy checks off every single box. And when he delivered that line, man, instantly the crowd erupted in a "Who's your daddy?" chant. It was great, bro. Randy Orton had to look down. He actually grinned a little. He had a little bit of a smile. He had to laugh. Once they broke out in a "Who's your daddy?" man, Randy Orton just let out a little bit of a laugh. Rhea's like, oh no. They better not chant that every time I'm out here. It was just great watching their facial expressions, watching the crowd really enjoy it and them react to it. It was good stuff. So Orton can't help but laugh at that. Once the crowd says, "Who's your daddy?" He erupts in that chant. He's then jumped by McDonuts. So McDonuts and Little Eddie That's what I call Dominik. McDonuts and Little Eddie jump Randy Orton, but McDonuts catches an RKO. Dominik thinks better of it. He hightails it before he gets an RKO. So him and his mommy kind of retreat. And Randy Orton's looking at him like, oh, Dom, hold on. I'll be seeing you in the ring one-on-one later tonight. And that becomes our main event. So, yeah, I just thought this was a really well done first segment. A little bit of everything. You got the really cool return of Randy Orton. A really interesting face-to-face with Rhea that was really good. Fans really into it. Leads to so many things you could do just between those two. And then you had the physicality afterwards as well. McDonuts obviously is going to be the one to eat the first RKO back from Randy Orton. On Raw anyway. And then you set up a main event with Dominik. So I thought, no harm, no foul here, man. You're saving Punk for later. Okay. And Randy Orton definitely delivered in segment 1. It was commercial free the first hour. And it was interesting to see what they decided to do with that. They put the whole tag team turmoil, which takes a long time. They put that after the Randy Orton segment 1, Q1. They put it after that, and it pretty much led us into the final minutes of the final segment of the first hour. So what I'm saying is tag team turmoil just took up the bulk of that commercial-free first hour. And tag team turmoil started with Alpha Academy, Tozawa and Otis versus DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. DIY defeated the Academy. And stick with me here, right? I have to literally follow my notes. Because tag team turmoil is just all over the place. It's a lot of matches in one. A lot of these are quick because you have like basically 5 matches, 6 matches, whatever it is. 6 teams, so what is that, 5 matches? The point is there's a lot of moving components and puzzle pieces, so stick with me on this. I'll try to follow my notes as best I can. DIY defeats the Academy in roughly 3 minutes via the meet-in-the-middle finisher on Tozawa. So Tozawa stopped dancing backstage for a second, went out to the ring for 3 minutes, and he ate DIY's finisher. Next out was Indashir for DIY. DIY defeats them in less than 2 minutes via the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating fruit roll-up. You knew the fruit roll-up was going to be in this match. You just didn't know exactly when and where. So they picked the biggest team, and they had them get a fruity roll-up by the smallest team. Makes sense. Anyway, Indashir, I didn't know if they were building them up when Jinder Mahal and Indashir came back the last several weeks. I thought maybe they finally have a plan for them. This was a simplistic jobber status L for Indashir. So I don't know what that says going forward with them. Again, DIY defeats Indashir in less than 2 minutes via the fruit roll-up. Now the Creed brothers are out next. Now it's pretty clear that Levesque McMahon is very high on the Creed brothers. Crowd is coming along to them. I do see a lot of the comparisons with the Steiner brothers. The Steiner brothers were a lot more polarizing, a lot more charismatic, and just a lot more... you could just latch on to the Steiner brothers a lot easier, right? For the Creed brothers, it's going to take a bit more, but damn, are they good? And damn, I can't believe how strong they are. You would never know that by looking at the Creed brothers. I say that about Cesaro. There was a time period where Cesaro was the strongest person in WWE, like literally the strongest. And I know that's when John Cena was there and everything. And I know what he can deadlift. I got it, guys. Cesaro was literally the strongest person. But if you look at the whole roster at that time, and then you look at Cesaro, you never would have thought that. I'm not saying the Creed brothers are the strongest people in WWE right now, but I am saying they are some of the strongest. Easily, I would say they're top 5 strongest wrestlers in WWE. The Creed brothers. Or at least one of the damn Creeds. Because the things they do in that ring, man, they could be on their back and they're somehow lifting these wrestlers to their feet. Anyway, Creed brothers are out next. They defeat DIY. So DIY picks up DIY wrestled for about 5 minutes, got 2 victories. One of them was a fruit roll-up, squeeze-by victory. And then the Creed brothers came out and said, you can hit the showers. The real team is here. So I don't think Levesque McMahon is too high on Tommaso and Gargano, which is ironic because he was really high on them in the whole NXT era. And I don't think there's really a plan for them here. That's why they just got thrown together back in their NXT DIY tag team. And ever since, they've been 50-50 booked. And last night, that was rough. But it's clear that the Creed brothers are priority right now. So the Creed brothers defeat DIY just over 4 minutes via the Brutus Ball finisher. So technically DIY did not wrestle just 5 minutes because they did 4 minutes with Creed. So 3 matches, less than 10 minutes. There you go. And the Brutus Ball finisher takes out DIY. The New Day is out next. They go just over 5 minutes with Creed. But the brothers defeat the Day of New via their finisher, what the fuck? I almost said the Brawling Brutes. The Brutus Ball finisher. So that's back-to-back matches won by their finisher. And that was on Kofi Kingston, if anybody's keeping score. I know, this tag team turmoil, you think it's easy for BC reviewing this, right? It's not. Whenever I see turmoil, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a joy to review, bro. I'm going to have lots of coffee on tap. All right, so if you're keeping up, Kofi Kingston just got defeated. The Day of New is hitting the showers. So Creed brothers now go on to Imperium's Kaiser and Vinci, who is out next. This one went just over 10 minutes. This was like the main event of that turmoil match. Imperium's Vinci and Kaiser versus the Creeds. And the Brutus Ball finisher is what won this for the Creed brothers. It was the Brutus Ball finisher on Vinci to collect the W, ultimately. So this was the longest match in Turmoil, and they gave that to Imperium, but the victory ultimately was the Creeds. So I guess the big story here, and again, the whole point of this match is the winners go on to take on Judgment Day for the tag titles next. The big thing that I took away from this isn't just pushing the Creeds. I mean, this is a massive push. Guys, this was 3 straight victories in this Turmoil match. Back to back to back. All won with the finisher. The finisher. This goes to everything I always tell you guys whenever you see roll-ups. It backs up everything that I always tell you guys. It's done out of laziness, and they don't really care to protect the person winning. Not just the person that's losing, right? Protecting them in defeats. I'm talking about the person that wins. You want to protect that victory. Make it relevant, right? Make the victory prestigious. Like the victory actually matters. But you see so many roll-ups in the last 10 years because they don't care about that. They know that if they want to make somebody look really good, they win by their finisher, right? Randy Orton was not going to come back last night and win via a roll-up. He never was going to do that. He was always going to win with his finisher, the RKO. They know that. Backstage, they know that. Everybody, from a Vincent Kennedy to a Paul Levesque McMahon, everybody knows if you really want somebody to look badass, they win by their finisher. Finishers always matter, whether it's Hogan dropping the leg drop, or Jake the Snake Roberts and his damn DDT, The Undertaker and his tombstone pile driver, The Rock and his rock bottom, or Stone Cold hitting the stunner. Maybe you got some submissions like the sharpshooter with Bret Hart, or maybe it's Ric Flair's figure 4. Maybe it's a simplistic super kick by Shawn Michaels. A perfect plex by Mr. Perfect. The boss slam by the big boss man. Maybe it's a frog splash from the top rope by Eddie Guerrero. We can go on and on with the legendary names and their finishers, right? And how they became a big part of how and why they became legendary was their finishers, right? When they would set up their finishers, you watch and you listen to the crowd erupt. Man, it took you to a different place, and it really elevated them even more so. Nowadays, every other match, you're winning by a fruit roll-up, and the fans, they can't take themselves to a place to believe in you as much. Subconsciously, they just can't do it. So, when you see DIY beating Indushear via a fruit roll-up, That tells you the company isn't putting stock in DIY. It's not a priority to protect that victory they just got. Roll up. People will forget about it in 6 minutes, but that's fine. Nobody needs to remember it. Creed brothers are coming out. And then you watch the Creeds collect 3 straight Brutus balls. That's not just the Creeds winning these matches. They know what they're doing behind the scenes. They made sure they won with their finisher, because that really ups their stock when you see them winning via a badass move, a finisher. It tells the fans, damn, I wonder how many wrestlers can kick out of this. Finishers need to matter again in pro wrestling. And in today's pro wrestling, we just see too many fruit roll-ups. We see way too many kickouts, right? I mean, you're seeing finishers perform 2 to 3 times a match, and mid-carders are kicking out. Maybe just to get a "this is awesome" chant. We got to protect finishers again. It was really cool to see 3 straight Brutus ball finishers, man. It's those little details that are not so minor to BC. I like to think that that's why you guys subscribe to the channel and listen and watch BC, because I do cover these details like that. And because it does help the trajectory of these wrestlers, these characters, and their careers. It's what can get them to the next level. These little details is what does such, man. They're not so little. Anyway, Creed brothers are going to take on Judgment Day for the tag titles. Now, here's the question. Do you put those titles on the Creeds this early? If not, then what's the need to rush them into a Judgment Day title match? They win all these matches and then all of a sudden lose the big one. I don't get it. There's ways to go about business. Keep them racking up W's, for instance. Why did they have to beat 3 tag teams in one match? You could have spread that out an entire month of tag team matches for the Creeds. So I hope it's not just, it could be a situation where they put on a good match, right? It's their calling card to the audience, but they still lose to Judgment Day. I don't know if they're the team to take the titles. Do you guys think that they're ready? Do you think it makes sense if they win the titles? They're the ones defending it pretty much at WrestleMania then, right? Unless we see another tag title change before Mania. So then Creeds get it, and then somebody else gets it, and then I guess WrestleMania, the heels would lose. I hope you guys are keeping track. I don't know, man. It seems like an odd thing to do to just rush them to a tag title match when they just showed up a few weeks ago. Everything just seems right? LA Knight going to a world title match, a universal title match with Roman Reigns with 2 weeks' notice. There's no need to do that. Relax. Anyway, hour 1 ends. I can speak. More coffee, BC. Hour 1 ends with Damian Priest paranoid that the rest of Judgment Day are now looking at him like a failure. Because again, he was the leader of Judgment Day for Survivor Series. He said, I'm going to step up. I'm going to be the team leader. I will lead us to victory. They didn't do that. So Damian Priest is paranoid backstage. Man, I know how you're all looking at me different. Just say it. Tell me what you got to say. And they're reassuring Damian Priest. Everything's fine. All is good. We're la familia. Relax. But when Damian walks off, Rhea has this grin on her face. Like she's got a whole nother master plan. And maybe Damian is not a part of it. Interesting. Those subtle details, man. They speak volumes, guys. Hour number 2. Let me get a swig of coffee. Cody Rhodes started this. This was actually a really good beginning to Cody's next story. And we now know what Shinsuke was talking about this whole time. So Cody Rhodes starts hour 2. He welcomes CM Punk back, right? He gets that done with. Well, because it just to show there's no animosity, and he doesn't want to be asked all the time, what do you think about CM Punk being back? He says publicly, live on air, to Punk, welcome back. Cody then declares himself the first of all, I just thought about it. Isn't it wild that CM Punk, Jade Cargill, and Cody Rhodes are all in WWE right now. I mean, these were three massive components for All Elite Wrestling, man. Cody Rhodes, he was an EVP. He helped start AEW. Jade Cargill was their beast champion for the females. And CM Punk was supposed to save the actual company. All three of them in WWE. That's wild. Anyway, Cody declares himself the first entry into the 2024 Royal Rumble. The arena then goes dark. Shinsuke Nakamura appears on the Tron. He says he's done waiting. He's bringing chaos. The lights go on. Cody turns around. Red mist to the face of Cody Rhodes. And Cody is selling this mist like he just got ran over by a monster truck. It was gold, bro. Or it was red, but it was gold. Cody is selling this, man. He's kicking his feet. He's trying to drag himself anywhere. It was so good. Shinsuke takes a bow. I thought they were going to do Kinshasa, and I was like, hold off. The mist, the way that he's selling the mist, that's all you need right now. Save the Kinshasa, because you're going to be doing that, obviously, in this feud several times. Thankfully, they held off on it. They did the mist. Shinsuke took a bow. And Cody now knows that Shinsuke is not happy that he's the guy, and that he's even in the equation to take on Roman at WrestleMania. Shinsuke wants the spot. Shinsuke versus Cody Rhodes. That's a feud I can definitely get into. I like the way that it was done. I like the little touches that, again, are not so little. The arena going dark. Cool presentation. Cool presentation. You don't really have that with WWE wrestlers these days. The arena going dark, right? Judgment Day's entrance, they have a little bit of that because of their color scheme. But without Bray Wyatt now, I don't know who has a lights go out entrance. Maybe it's just Shinsuke now. If they're going to keep doing that, that could have been a one-off just to throw Cody off his game. But I like the presentation, man. And Shinsuke just shows up on the Tron. I don't even know if did I forget to even... Yeah, I forgot to even mention that. When the lights went out, first Shinsuke was on the Tron, and he was talking that game. Oh, I did mention that, right? Yeah, he's done waiting. He's bringing chaos. And then the lights went on, and that's when Shinsuke is behind him. Pretty damn cool. You had to be a little careful because in the Sethington Rollins feud with Shinsuke, they did the same thing, kind of, where Shinsuke was on the Tron, and then when he was off the Tron, he was in the ring behind Sethington. A little bit of the same, but this was on another level, another octane. Much more significant. So I'm going to let that one pass for sure. Good start to hour number 2. Cody Rhodes, Shinsuke. That's a feud I can get behind. Watching Cody mingle through Judgment Day for the second time within one calendar year, because that's what we just saw for several months, it was getting a little exhausting. This feels a lot more refreshing. Ivar versus Bronson Reed. They wrestle to a double countout and then proceed to waddle around the arena, completely winded, but still brawling, to their credit. But if you watch this match, man, I don't know what it was. Bronson Reed was winded. There was a spot where Ivar jumps off the ring apron. Bronson's on the outside. Bronson's supposed to catch him into like a body slam position and maybe slam him there or take him over into the barricade. But Bronson was so winded, he knew it. He couldn't even catch him. And then he didn't even bother trying after. He just dropped Ivar. He's like, dude, I can't. So then they go over or through the barricade, some big spot. And then Ivar jumps on the Bronson. Something. They were doing some wild things with their size, with their enormity. They were doing some crazy things. So again, it was a double count out, I believe. Yes, was the finish. They then brawl through the fans, through many sections on the lower level. Ivar's jumping off of like electrical equipment boxes. Crowd is chanting, holy shit, holy shit. You wouldn't know that because USA Network is blocking out every single other word. But it was funny, man. They were just winded. Bronson more than anything. I don't know about Bronson's cardio, but I've seen Bronson in there with dudes half his size, and he would like hang with them. So I don't know if this was just an off night, but Bronson Reed was winded, dude. And that's why I say they were waddling around ringside, brawling with one another. I don't know, man. Obviously, Ivar Bronson will be done in the future as well. I'm glad they're giving Ivar something. You know, while Eric is away on injury, we wish him the best, by the way. Speedy recovery, not too speedy. We want you all well. But I'm glad they didn't just throw Ivar into complete irrelevancy. A lot of times when one tag team partner is out, they just keep the other one on the shelf too. This does something, and they don't have anything for Bronson Reed. So I guess it keeps them occupied. It's just about keeping the fans' interest occupied. You know, can they do that? Was this enough for you? Eye of the beholder, your prerogative. For me, the match, whoa, that was rough. The waddling afterwards, that was pretty funny. Nia Jax then defeats Zoey Stark via the Yoko Squash, I call it. It's the old school Yokozuna squash where they just sit on you, right? I'm really, really bigger than you. I'm going to sit on you, and you ain't going to do anything about it because I just sat on you. So Zoey loses via the Yoko Squash. I thought they were going to throw Zoey a consolation prize victory here. This is what WWE does often. So you'll lose at a pay-per-view, sometimes even in a title match. But to save face on the very next television show, they'll have you beat somebody lower than the champion, right? So they did it with Seth Rollins right after his last loss to Seth Rollins. Shinsuke Nakamura after his last loss to Seth Rollins. He was out on that like Monday, like dropping Ricochet or something. So my point is, I thought Zoey was going to beat Nia here. You know, consolation prize victory. I didn't win the title, but I'm still relevant. I'm still badass. And I'm already working my way back up to another title match. I just beat Nia Jax. No, they didn't just have Zoey lose. They squashed Nia, like literally, or squashed Zoey, literally. Nia Jax, Yoko Squash. Very interesting. I thought the outcome would be reversed. R-Truth ends up ending hour number 2 eating jelly rolls. There was a country music act named Jelly Roll in the front row. And he was backstage as well, and R-Truth was asking for jelly rolls. Well, he found jelly rolls, and he had a whole plate of jelly rolls from catering. I thought it was a funny line backstage, too. He goes, I'm going to go to catering and get jelly rolls. It was funny because when you think R-Truth, you think he's always sitting around catering. Paul Levesque McMahon just threw massive shade at R-Truth. All in humor, but it's still doing the dude dirty. Paul Levesque McMahon was at the media scrum at Survivor Series, and he says, I know you all want me to talk about the big return tonight. R-Truth. Man, the way he was eating those potato chips. I was like, you did not just do R-Truth dirty like that. So R-Truth tells Jelly Roll and whoever he's with, he's like, I got to go to catering. I got to go get some jelly rolls. So segments later to end hour number 2, R-Truth is in Judgment Day's clubhouse eating a plate full of jelly rolls, getting sugar all on the couch, messing up the clubhouse. Obviously, Balor and Priest and McDonuts show up, and they're not happy about it. So this is where R-Truth looks at Balor and Priest, and he says, hey, man, can I be the 5th member for Survivor Series, man? I can be on your team. I can help you out, man. I'm like, wait, what? Did he just say, can I be the 5th member of your Survivor Series team? The event that just took place 2 days before at that point? Damien's reaction was just priceless, man. He's like, Truth, we already, that was 2 days ago, Truth. We lost. It was great, man. R-Truth is comedy gold. I just, it's not that I forget how funny he is. He just, you know, he's not a focal point of these shows. He's just using comedy acts. So you don't really remember any of this, you know, long after, unfortunately. But R-Truth is just gold, man. That dude can just make you laugh out of nowhere. With the stupidest things, man. He can have an invisible little buddy, too. Right? Little Jimmy. And you're just cracking up. Anyway, funny segment to end hour number 2, man. Can I be the 5th member of your Survivor Series team? That might be a problem, Truth. Hour number 3, Sethington Rollins, a major shot over to CM Punk. So Sethington Rollins, man, he starts hour 3, and there was a great moment from the jump where the crowd is in the middle of their whoa, whoa, sing-along, right? All of a sudden, a much louder half of the crowd erupted in a CM Punk chant. Guys, this was in the middle of the whoa, whoa, sing-along. And Sethington is having a great time. He's orchestrating it. He's conducting it. And all of a sudden, man, props. I think they were Nashville. Props to the people that made that really fun in the crowd. Because you could slowly but surely, and then all of a sudden it just erupted. You could hear it catching on like CM Punk. And all of a sudden, the sing-along just stopped. And Seth puts his head down and he's pissed off. It just showed you, it gave you a little bit of insight on how fun Punk vs. Rollins could actually be. Whether you turn one of them a full throttle heel in the feud or not, man, the electric atmosphere. The sing-along, overpowered by the Punk chants. Could you imagine the night that they finally meet one-on-one? If you do the story correctly, the fans are already into it. It was one of the coolest, best moments of last night, easily. Once again, Rollins does embrace it. He gets pissed off, right? So he's really selling it, and I think some of that is actually very real. Some of the best storylines are encompassed, embodied, engulfed in the real emotion and feeling of it all. So Sethington is really trying to get his words together. He does embrace it, and he tells the crowd to keep going. Come on. No. Don't stop. Keep going. Let it all out. Get it all out of your system, he says. Because I don't want to spend another second on that hypocrite. He says he doesn't even matter. He literally, the whole crowd, you can listen to it for yourself. The crowd simultaneously went, oh, like burn. Just one word. Just called him a hypocrite. And that crowd was like, ooh. Ooh, yeah. Shot fired. He says, get it all out of your system because I don't want to waste another second on that hypocrite. He doesn't even matter. You talk about downplaying one of the biggest returns ever. You talk about a dude that no matter what that locker room is going to do, and Punk gave you insight on how that locker room received him. We'll get to that when we get to Punk's promo. But Punk talked about how he was received in his promo last night from the locker room. And Sethington is making it clear, I'm not one of those. I'm on an island all of my own. And every single time you chant that dude's that he is going to throw a shot over. It was, man. He called him a hypocrite that don't even matter. This is not the first time at a live event in Peoria, Illinois, a day earlier. He threw many shots over to CM Punk. We actually did an upload on it. And talking about how CM Punk has done nothing but just try to tear this place down. So the only energy he wants to put is to the individuals that have been here all along, busting their ass, making this the hottest ticket in town. That's basically an exact quote that Punk or Rollins said about Punk on Sunday night at that house show. And then last night, live TV. I don't want to spend a second on that hypocrite. He don't even matter. Seeds planted, man. Seeds planted. I honestly believe that this is a work in progress. And what I mean by that is I don't think it's as much of a work, or not initially, as people think it is. I think Sethington is making it such. I think he's had conversations with Punk. Maybe. I don't know. But I think everybody knows that this has to be a work, right? And I think the company doesn't know exactly how to do this. Because Seth Rollins is really sparking this himself. So the company is probably trying to figure out, how do we do this? How do we do this business? It was so little things, man. And I like the slow burn on it. I do, because it makes it more realistic. Like Seth really just does not want to interact with this dude, but they're on the same show. You know damn well eventually it's going to have to happen. So maybe you do drag it out WrestleMania. Anyway, Rollins, it was Drew McIntyre comes to the ring after that, dissed over to CM Punk. Drew is high-fiving fans, petting little babies. At this point, I'm thinking, dude, just turn heel. Stop. Ever since he turned heel and aligned himself with Judgment Day, not joined Judgment Day, but aligned himself for the Survivor Series War Games, he's still been talking about how he's not necessarily a heel. Everybody relax. He's still the same Drew. He doesn't like Jey Uso, and this is the path that he chose. So here he is high-fiving fans, and I'm like, stop, man. But it was short-lived. Something really cool was about to happen with Drew, man. He cuts this promo on Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins. Sami Zayn would be later with Drew. But he cuts this promo on Sethington. And he says he let this whole thing with Jey Uso distort his vision and path. But he's thinking clearly now, and he wants another shot at that world championship. Seth Rollins says, I'm sorry, Drew, but I'm giving this title opportunity to somebody else. Drew puts his head down, and Drew says, okay, I can respect that. Can you at least tell me the name? Who's getting a chance before me at this title? And Sethington says, I'm sorry, Drew, it's Jey Uso. Once he says that, this enrages McIntyre instantly. And I audibly said, oh no, you done fucked up. Sure enough, Drew McIntyre headbutts Sethington Rollins so hard. Guys, the sound was incredible. I don't know if he hit the championship or the side of his dome piece. I'm guessing it was the title, but it was so loud. You would have thought Seth Rollins landed in Section 305 or the hot dog stand in the corridor of Section 305. But it was so hard that Drew McIntyre instantly busted himself open. He just started bleeding, dude. He was touching. He was like, whoa, that was hard. It was a loud, hard headbutt. Sethington dropped like a stack of bricks. It was wild, man. And then he starts just attacking Sethington Rollins. Jey Uso hits the ring, and the faces make Drew retreat. I love this. This unhinged Drew, I absolutely am here for. This is what we said, a lot of us, man. BC for sure, and a lot of you guys were in agreement when you thought about it. If you have this type of Drew, it's a lot more fun than just mingling Drew. And Drew just tagging up with Matt Riddle for no reason. Or Drew having comedy segments in the back with Tozawa. Drew having weird matches with every single member of the Judgment Day that's leading to nothing. Drew is so much more than that if you just book him correctly. And I just think a heel Drew, a diabolical, and an unhinged Drew, by the way. I didn't even have that in my cards. An unhinged diabolical Drew with his mass and size and talent. I'm here for it, man. That was a fun segment because Drew just literally is just entrenched with getting that title back. Very good. This was the Drew I've been waiting for a long time. It's so cool to see. He could be, mark my words on this, he could be a beast for WWE. Can't wait to see what they do with him next. Sami Zayn then cut an amplified promo on Drew backstage. Sami's been really good lately, guys, on the microphone. Was it last week or a couple weeks ago where he was on the mic? I think it was last week. He was on the microphone middle of the ring, and all the Team Cody members were cutting a promo. But when Sami grabbed that mic, he was just ultra amplified. He was just on, right? That green light was on, and it was on bright. So then you see backstage, man, he's cutting this promo on Drew like, dude, what are you doing? What you're doing is unacceptable. Like how you're acting is unacceptable. Everything you've been through, I've been through too. You lost to Roman Reigns in front of your family, your championship opportunity in front of your family. That happened to me too. You lost the championship when you were championship. That happened to me too. Everything that happened to you has happened to me. But you know the difference? I dusted myself off. I picked myself up. I kept moving on because I believe in myself that I will be. My path is taking me to a world championship. And Drew McIntyre is like, you know what? You're right. You're right, Sammy. I'm going to go to Adam Pearce right now and make sure I get a match next week that puts me back on the right track with you. So Sami Zayn cuts a great promo, really tries to help Drew. And for his efforts, he gets a match with this new unhinged Drew McIntyre. But still a great promo nonetheless. I had to give some props over to Samilton Zayn for last night's promo backstage. This dude is on lately. And that's what I mean about a babyface problem. It's a good problem to have. You have all these baby faces, they get good responses, you can put them in main events and people will buy tickets. But on the flip side, you have like people like Sami Zayn that are just in backstage segments real quick for a 2-minute promo. There's a lot of people, man. Jey Uso just doing a run-in. Oh, no. He was in a match too. No, he wasn't. That was just a run-in with Seth. Yeah, man, you just have faces that you really can't even fit into places. Anyway, tag team title match is up next. Chelsea Green. I can't do it, man. How Samantha does the Chelsea Green, I don't know why. I just laugh every time. I just fucking laugh. And last night was cool because it's a title match. You actually do the introductions in the ring. So I actually got to see Samantha do the "It's Chelsea Green." And the way she does it, Samantha gets really into it, man. Mega pop from BC. So Chelsea Green, Piper Niven defending their tag titles against Natalya and Tegan Nox. Natalya and Tegan Nox are defeated when Piper sits on Nox. Piper just sat on Nox. It's the Nia Jax thing, right? It's a situation where I'm really bigger than you. I'm just going to sit on you. And you're not going to do anything about it because I sat on you. So Piper Niven wins this match. For her team, they keep the championships. I still don't know how Piper Niven is a champion. I still remember months ago she walked into the Adam Pearce's office and just took the tag team title. Who was the original person with her? Was it Sonya Deville? I forgot who was the champion with Chelsea Green. And then they got injured, I think. I think it was Sonya Deville. And then Piper Niven just took the title, and Pearce is like, okay. And ever since, Piper Niven is I guess, a champion. If it is Sonya Deville, do you have him keep it until like Deville comes back and she's pissed off because she should be the champion and Piper won't give it back? So Sonya comes back with somebody else. Does Mandy Rose return with Sonya Deville? And they take the titles from Piper and Chelsea at WrestleMania. Did I just set that up? Little Mandy Rose, little Sonya, weren't they together in the past? Mandy and Sonya, yes, they were. They're good. They're really good friends in real life. I'm future booking here. Then we went into Randy Orton defeating Dominik Mysterio. Pretty cut and dry. It's good seeing him back for sure. They protected Randy big time. There was a point where there was a pitcher-in-pitcher commercial break, and to make sure that Randy wasn't overdoing it, they just had Dominik grab a microphone, and Dominik started talking trash to the crowd during pitcher-in-pitcher. That way, Randy just doesn't have to wrestle any more than he has to. So they really protected him. Not many drops at all on Randy Orton's back. Very, very much protected. It's going to be interesting how many RKOs he delivers. They really do feel that the back injury he received, a lot of that is from the RKO. He still does it. It's his identity, obviously. It'll be interesting to see how many times they have him drop that. They have to be meaningful. Those RKOs, when they're hit, make them be impactful to the highest degree. I don't know, maybe on Rhea Ripley? But he defeats Dominik Mysterio last night. Randy Orton looking stronger than ever, looking just better than ever. And then we went into CM Punk to end the night. CM Punk ends the show. And I'll just give you some excerpts from the promo itself. Punk says, "I'm home." He says, "This is where I belong." And, you know, a lot of people take that as just a diss or a slight to AEW. No, this is just, I told you guys. When I said, like, this is a better structure for him, this is just where he belongs. It fits better here than AEW. It just does. Some things just fit better. Some marriages last. Some have to end in divorce. And I told you guys that even CM Punk knows that, right? Like, deep down, Punk knows, and he's known for a long time. He told you years ago with the FS1 show that, of course, he would entertain the idea of coming back to WWE. I think he wanted to at that point. That's why he took the FS1 job. At that point, WWE just wanted nothing to do with Punk still. But I told you guys, Punk knows. It did, and then a ton of money went into his lap from Tony Khan, and he goes, all right, WWE is not going to do anything with me. I got to make a boatload of money now. I'm not getting any younger. This dude is offering me all this money, and I truly think he really gave it a chance over in that other organization. Just didn't work out from the jump. Brought him back, got even worse. So for Punk to be in the middle of that ring after everything that dude has been through, whether he created it, the drama or not, at this point he's in that ring and he's like, you know what? This feels right. And he said those words. He goes, this just feels right. He goes, I'm home. This is where I belong. Everybody in the back, he said, he wanted to debunk a lot of the talk about the roster not wanting him there. But that is the case, right? We heard reports that they are having meetings backstage for anybody that needs reassurance or just does not like Punk and just doesn't feel right working with him. They're having talks with those wrestlers. But Punk's promo, he said everybody back there for the most part, it's hugs and kisses, he said. Everybody asking Punk, how you been? How you doing? How's AJ? And he actually said, he looked at the hard cam, he said, and for everybody wondering, AJ is, what was his exact word? He says, AJ Lee is doing fabulous, and she sends her regards. In other words, she says hello to all you guys. Got a great pop from the wrestling fans in attendance. I know everybody at home like BC was like, oh, they mentioned AJ. I don't even think he's done that in AEW, did he? I don't know. That was really cool to stop acting like she just didn't exist in WWE, And I know that's not just WWE's doing. They had this big thing with Punk. That's his wife. And so I'm sure they didn't want to step on toes either by mentioning AJ Lee all the time. But because I told you guys, WWE always loved AJ Lee. I said this many times in recent uploads. I'll say it one more time, or probably maybe many more times. But, look at what she did in just a couple, 2-3 years. A short little 2 to 3 year run. She was champion. She was in major storylines with Cena, Daniel Bryan, Kane, CM Punk. She was the general manager of Raw. This was all in just a couple of years. And then, of course, the CM Punk thing happened and she took off. She had some injuries as well, but she would have been back, obviously, within 10 years. But they always loved AJ Lee, and she always had the best stories, and she was always relevant. And to just be gone for 10 years, not even a mention of the name, to hear her name last night and Punk look at the hard camera, I just was like, yes, this opens the door for so many possibilities. AJ Lee has just said in a recent interview, yet again, that she can wrestle still. It's just a point of, does she want to? What's the situation? Does she just want to do other things? She said those are the questions she asks herself. But it's no longer just the neck injury, guys. She can wrestle. That's not the reason that you haven't seen her wrestling. So does she show up at the Royal Rumble? If not to win it, could you imagine if she showed up and won it? But is she a surprise? But I think in the future, you're definitely going to see AJ Lee back in some capacity. I really do. It might take a while. It might be as soon as the Rumble. Really cool to hear her name brought up. Punk says that she sends her regards. She's doing fabulous. He also says, like I said, it's been like a family reunion backstage, he says. Everybody receptive to my being back. Well, almost everyone, he says. And you know exactly who he's talking about. Could be many people, several people anyway, but it's Sethington Rollins. And he then cuts a promo, the second half of his promo, and it was tailor-made for Sethington Rollins. He says, those that are not receptive to me coming back, they're just in fear. Fear that I am back, knowing that I am the best in this ring, on this microphone, on that commentary booth. I am the best. And those that are not receptive to me coming back, they just know that the real best in the world is back. And his name is CM Punk. The whole crowd saying his name. Of course, Sethington Rollins has called himself best in the world. Before Shinsuke did it recently, he has called himself best in the world many times. And recently. So, of course, Punk tailor-made that whole second part. The people that are not receptive to him being back, and he addressed them. He didn't even say people. He just said, well, almost everyone has been receptive. Then he looks into that camera B with a little grin, like we all know who he's talking about. So he wanted us to know that, yep, if you're thinking who I'm talking about is who I'm talking about, you're right. And then he looks back at the hard cam and at the crowd in attendance, and he cuts that promo. It was tailor-made to Sethington without mentioning Sethington's name. And of course, again, earlier, Sethington told the crowd, get it out of your system because I don't want to talk about that hypocrite. He doesn't matter to me right now. Gonna be interesting, man. If they keep slow burning it now, Rumble time, it should heat up. And then, WrestleMania, you're going to see Sethington Rollins versus Punk for the championship. And then it just becomes a question of, do you have Punk be the one to dethrone Sethington? Does Punk walk out of Mania with the title? Is that doing Sethington dirty? Sethington had to do the job for Cody Rhodes, AEW's Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. And now he's got to do the job to AEW's CM Punk, or fresh off of AEW. And I got to lay down and look up at the lights for this dude too and lose my title? But how do you have Punk go into a match like that with that magnitude on the grandest stage and not win that title? I mean, you saw the buzz that was generated after Survivor Series. That might be a business call that Levesque McMahon's going to have to make. Sethington is more of his buddy. There's still that animosity, no matter how many talks Levesque McMahon and Punk have. And I do believe they're more mature and grown up, and they can have more civil conversation. But there's always going to be that disdain. There's these two massive egos, and they're always in some shape or form going to collide. You know, Paul Levesque McMahon has made statements at WrestleMania, right? I'm going to beat Sting because you represent WCW. I never got that level of success in WCW. And, I want my boy Ric Flair to look at me like he looks at you. And he beat Sting. And I don't know if that's the right decision all these years later. Cody Rhodes should have obviously beat Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes took the sledgehammer and destroyed his throne in AEW. Now, I'm going to make sure you lay next to a rubber chicken at WrestleMania and not hoist up a title. There's pettiness there, guys. There just is. It's okay. I mean, humans have pettiness. It's just Levesque McMahon will produce that on the grandest stages at times. So is that where he chooses to have Punk just take a massive L? If it fits the scenario and it's done correctly, then okay. But I hope it's not just to get some type of revenge or just to be petty. I really hope not. Because that's just not the way to do business, right? And now we all have to wait another 5 months to see Cody get back to WrestleMania to do what should have happened at 39. I don't know if you're going to have that same electricity, if it's going to be that same aura. I know for a fact it's not going to be. We're going to still flip out because finally Roman maybe loses the title. Or is Cody just going to eat a second L 2 years in a row because they want Roman taking Hogan's 1474 record? Questions, but you know what? A lot of them are good questions, right? It's going to keep us tuned in. It's got us talking. There is that buzz. We'll see, man. We'll see. Do enough people care, right? I mean, are a lot of people still looking at the product and going, it's been pulling in the lowest ratings in the last 2 months than this company has ever pulled. Is Punk, Orton, post-Survivor Series, subpar Monday Night Football game. Is all of this enough to get enough of an audience, not just back for last night, because you're going to see a good increase? Is it enough to keep them around consistently going forward? That's going to be interesting to see. If they just put that foot on the gas pedal and don't let up, and you just start creating just immaculate storylines, if you build it, they will come. Just keep focus on what you are doing as a company. And I assure you, all of those fans you've lost will slowly, maybe not all, but slowly but surely, a lot of them will come back. That was Monday Night Raw, November 27th, 2023, man. A lot of good stuff to look forward to. It was a mixed bag, obviously, but man, to see Randy Orton and CM Punk back on Monday Night Raw. They say never. Last night was one of those nights. It's never been more true. Until next time, and there will be a next time. Top guys were out. Current status, check you. The Amplified Man saying peace.